Dream Warriors, thank you for joining me. Welcome to episode 108, and today we're talking the Bumblebee movie. And look, hey, perfect timing. It's a toy, that's a movie, and we got Christmas down the road. So let's just hit that music and get to it. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am Peter A. DeLuca, AKAPAD, your host, your bro, your dude, your pop culture geek fanatic. I am obsessive about this. Even though I don't totally subscribe to geek culture, I do love it. And, we've gotten into details about that before, but I will not this time. But yeah, if you're new to Dream Warriors, thank you and welcome. We have a couple things happening around me within the Dream Warrior studio. We have coffee brewing, and we have Dallas scaling his cat tower, the Dallas tower. Dallas is my cat, so if you hear some background noises, that's what's happening. But yeah, so Dream Warriors is focused on long form conversation, comics, TV, streaming, movies, now wrestling, now NFL. The NFL episodes have a little bit slower of a rollout, but in all, we are critical of the cynicism that is plaguing pop culture review and criticism right now. And by that, I mean that everything is lean. It leans negative. And I'm not saying I love everything. There's things I do not like. There's things that stick out to me that are like sore spots or like sore thumbs, because I'm human, like that. I have emotional attachments to things, so like sequels can still be disappointing to me, or spin-offs, and Bumblebee is subject to that. But I try and focus on the intent and what really is happening within the content. How are we moving through the story? Where am I as a viewer, as an audience member? How am I connected to it? And what am I supposed to be feeling at particular times? And what do I expect? Now, these thoughts, these ideas, I am sorry, but they are kind of gone from the review lexicon. I feel like Dream Warriors is somewhat the Alamo when it comes to this type of standard in review and criticism. But with that being said, look, Dream Warriors has been chugging along. We do multiple episodes a week. We're rocking and rolling, but we do need your support. And there's all kinds of interesting and fun ways to support Dream Warriors. One of those ways is you can find me on social media at AKAPAD on Snapchat and Twitter. And on Snapchat, I do I kind of do like one theme a day, and I try and make it like an inspirational theme, or like I show people things, bring them closer into my life. Now, sometimes I do skip a day, especially around the holidays. I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent with planning out what I'm doing on Snapchat, but it is work, and it does take time. But hey, and sometimes they're like 30-minute threads of me just going and talking. So if you're really interested in why I do particular things, what my approaches are, I don't do like politics or get into any of that nonsense. It's strictly self-empowerment, self-improvement, and that's just on my Snapchat. My Twitter, it's a lot of thoughts on what's happening within pop culture around the world, commentary. I retweet some of my boys, so we have that. And then AKAPAD13 on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're into artwork, you want to kind of focus on those two, because I do put out a lot of drawing, a lot of content. I'm doing almost like my entire work history. And I'm going back to like senior year, freshman year, junior year of high school. If you want to see what Peter was doing in middle school, why he wasn't talking to girls, what he chose to do instead of go through puberty, check those out. And then there's money. Okay, I need your money. Dream Warriors need your money. My contributors need your money, because when we have people here like Mark, John, Mark, my sister Heather, shout out to Heather. I would like to have pizzas or food or make it comfortable for them, incentivize them to make their trip here. And I need money for that. And, there's other equipment. Coffee's done. So it's clear that we're trying to make this show more, just trying to make it bigger, trying to make it the biggest thing in Philly, because that's where we're located. We're located in Center City, Philadelphia. So if you're listening on SoundCloud, there's a link for help fund this show. And you can go to Patreon, make a donation, or you can go to AKAPAD.com and use the PayPal donation button. If you need creative services, you can just find me on Etsy at /AKAPAD, and you can purchase creative services direct through Etsy, and you engage with me along the way, and I almost become a hired gun for you. And I say almost, that's exactly what happens. But look, with promos aside, the promos is a tough thing to do, because it took me forever to get into a rhythm of doing good promos to memorizing how I had to do the promos, what I had to talk about, even the importance of promos. It took me a little bit of time, and but regardless, I think I'm getting better. So I need some of you to let me know that. Am I getting better with my promos? I don't know yet. So, and another quick side note. So the last few recordings have been somewhat plagued with audio issues. This one is sounding and looking perfect, and I say by looking because as I'm talking to all of you, I'm looking at my soundbar, and I can tell the quality of the audio just from the sound wave alone, and it's looking pretty tight right now, kids. So, but yeah, so we're talking Bumblebee, and look, one of the through lines for all the Dream Warriors is my love. I would say love, because even at this point, leading into this recording, I pretty much caught up on Transformers 1, the Micheal Bay movie. The one, people will say that's the best one of his 5. And if we do not know about the thread of movies that kind of led into Bumblebee, we'll talk about that real quick. But essentially, if you're new to the Transformers game, it's not that complicated. Transformers is a intergalactic war that kind of spans tens of thousands of years on the alien world Cybertron. Now, during this war, here's the funny thing, and you don't really get too much of this take, but the bad guys win. They're called the Decepticons. The Autobots flee. They flee. They're almost like pilgrims. They're fleeing into a new world. They're fleeing for salvation and freedom, and they all jump aboard this thing called the Ark. It's just a spaceship, and the Ark just gets lost in space and crashes on Earth. And then through and it's pre-Earth. It's prehistoric. It's all this stuff. So, time evolves, things happen, society spurs up, humans become prevalent on Earth, creating technology, fighting wars, and the robots emerge in real time. And in that real time, it was 1984. So to hide among humanity, because again, they're greatly outnumbered, okay? See, again, too, all the bots are... they're almost like the victims, and then they're like a fish out of water. To assimilate, they transform into vehicles, just so they can kind of study our habits and make friends. And that's your plot of Transformers. And the Decepticons have to get back to Cybertron and do all these things, and they're looking for this thing called Energon, and Energon is their power source. They're led by Megatron. It's so ridiculous just repeating some of this stuff. So the good guys have Optimus Prime, and the bad guys have Megatron. And there we go. So just thousands and thousands and thousands of year intergalactic war finds its way onto Earth in modern day through a huge hibernation period. Now, millions of years pass between the Transformers crash landing on Earth. Okay. And... 1984, within the original lore, the original mythology. Now, the goofy thing, though, is like it's almost like a day went by back on Cybertron. Cybertron is now run by Soundwave. Okay, not Soundwave, Shockwave. Okay, Shockwave is he's a purple gun guy with like a cycloptic eye. Megatron is just a silver dude. He's just a silver gun, but he's evil. He's more bad. And so we have Shockwave, runs Cybertron. He's almost like the Decepticon home leader. So, but it's not like millions of years have went by, because there's some Autobot resistance still are in Cybertron. So, well, whatever. Okay, we don't really address it that way. So the Bumblebee movie seeks to condense everything I just told you, and realign the mythology that the Micheal Bay movies people think have ignored from the source material. Now, if you don't know who Micheal Bay is, if you've seen a video from the 90s or a Victoria's Secret commercial, you are looking at you're seeing his look, his aesthetic. And his aesthetic it's just sexy. He shoots sexy. He shoots in slow motion. He highlights action in fantastic ways. Probably the best action film director ever. And he's made some hardcore, awesome movies. We're talking Bad Boys 1 and 2, The Rock, Armageddon. Hey, Pearl Harbor's not bad. I'm sorry, but Pearl Harbor is a good period movie. He did, not 13 Soldiers. He did the Benghazi movie. 13th. I'm forgetting the name of that. Pain and Gain, another good movie. He's drifted like outside of his core, which is action, and he's done like historical content. He's done historical like we'll call it like historical fiction. And so with that being said, the guy's talented. I think he's one of the all-time best. Money wise, he is. He's second to Spielberg when it comes to money in for a filmmaker. That's right, more than James Cameron, who's had the biggest movie twice, and more than Peter Jackson, who made the Lord of the Rings movies. Micheal Bay is a facilitator of ideas and talent and imagination. He is that first. He is no different than a Walt Disney. But people like to criticize Micheal Bay because they think he is simple. They think his content is meant for teenagers, and they're like, they get on their high horse and they're like, oh, this is dumb. This is stupid stuff. I'm a film critic. I'm a cinephile. I'm an intelligent, educated moviegoer. I can't like this. I have to pick it apart. And if that's your intent, like as just an audience member, when you sit down to watch anything, your opinion is already biased. Your opinion is already invalid. You've taken yourself out of the game, and I'm sorry, but it's harder for you to discuss things with someone like me because I believe if you don't understand storytelling and the arc of a movie, and again, like where you are as an audience member, as something like a movie marches on, you're not much of a moviegoer. You're actually just there to like destroy something. And look, I'm not saying the Micheal Bay Transformer movies are perfect, but then again, what movie is? I'm not saying that they don't have issues, but at the same time, I think they're so well that they're what makes them great. Easily smashes down any issue, and if you can't just sit down and have a good time and watch, and probably some of the best shot military action and setups, and like really nice wide angle like aircraft carriers, and like everything you might like about how the opening credits of Top Gun was shot. It's we have those. We have amazingly attractive women. We have awesome cars, and then we have some great, probably the best robot action we'll ever have in cinema. And Bumblebee kind of gets lumped in with that because Bumblebee's robot action is quite calm It's calm compared to Micheal Bay, which is funny because these fight scenes are constructed inside the computer, and it doesn't cost any more money to set something around a destroyed Chicago like in Micheal Bay's Dark in the Moon versus a I don't know, like a South California water park thing, which is what we had in Bumblebee. And it's just like you see these comparisons and you're just like, wow, like one's kind of like one doesn't feel threatening, but one does, because always in these like Transformer, the Micheal Bay stuff, we're dealing with multiple robots on screen at one time. It's it's a lot to keep track of, but there is a feeling of war and battle, okay, of struggle and loss. And Micheal Bay he very much popularized the violent, we'll call it, like the violent Transformer, the Transformer that decapitates or rips faces off of their opponents, a savagery, the savage formers, maybe we'll coin that term here. And there was definitely a style, a combative style of how he unfolded some of these scenes, okay? And I think the franchise is for the better. Now, the other contribution within the Micheal Bay era is it's very commonly ignored, and it's ignored because we're dealing with dynamic concepts and bigger thoughts. And this is that he redefined the lore of the beginning. Okay, so everything I told you at the beginning of this podcast, we don't do that anymore. See, the Autobots still flee Cybertron in their moment of loss, but now it becomes a kid's first car story, a kid's story of acceptance. We got this, but same with Wiki in Transformers 1, the Shia LaBeouf one with the incredible Megan Fox. We have a distrodden, an out of sync teenager that's just not fitting in, and Bumblebee becomes the first car. Okay, and Bumblebee's almost like self-improvement, self-empowerment. It's like an avatar. Bumblebee ushers change in this person's life, making them discover more about themselves, making them more sure. Now, this thought does not resonate in both movies, okay? It doesn't. But it's there, and we kind of know what's happening. And it's fun to watch, period. It's just fun to watch, okay? It's fun to watch teenagers just being, like, I don't know, like kids and messing up. And working jobs and just trying to figure things out. Like, I still love in Transformers 1 that same with Wiki is a eBay seller, like trying to make money, like just trying to hustle, trying to do whatever it takes. I really do like that about that movie. But yeah, so Bumblebee kind of comes in and we reintroduce the trope. We introduce now this new mythology where a teenage girl gets the car. Okay, now we have a whole setup. We have a setup to how Bumblebee ends up on Earth. Bumblebee's supposed to protect Earth for an Autobot base, which kind of does not make very much sense, knowing that the destruction that has brought on Cybertron. I don't know why Optimus Prime would want to do that here, like on Earth. The idea is that the Autobots flee Cybertron and hide amongst us from Decepticons, okay? And but the Decepticons still discover Earth, and they start mining it for energon, and the Autobots have to stop them from like strip mining Earth. That's kind of like what the plot should be, but we don't have it here. We have the Decepticons looking for Optimus. They're looking for Bumblebee because Bumblebee might know about Optimus, and the Decepticons are hunting the Autobots down around the galaxy looking for Optimus Prime. Now, at the end of the movie, we have our Optimus Prime Bumblebee like shot Now, keep in mind, this movie is a period piece because we did go back to form. I think Travis Knight, he's your director. He directed Kobo and the 7/7 String, some stop and go animated movie that people just gush over. It doesn't even appeal to me. I really don't even feel like watching it. I'm sorry, it's really tough for me to watch any animated thing now. This is why I don't even care about the Spider-Verse movie. Whatever, okay. That can just go. So look, I'm saying I love these things. I'm saying that like I have an appreciation for geek culture, but there's just things that as a grown man, as a grown adult, that they just don't appeal to me. Not saying I can't sit down and enjoy them. I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to do something else with that time, because anyone that follows me on Dream Warriors, through my YouTube and through social media, I'm very particular with time management. Okay, I deeply respect time management, and yes, look, I'm talking to you at 7:00 in the morning on a Tuesday, and even last night, like I use my Monday nights to do nothing. I have to do nothing on my Monday nights. I don't even do any recording, because it is my Peter time, it's my decompression time, it's my time for wrestling, for football, for reading. So it's a very expansive night for me, and I catch up on my sleep and things like that. So look, if I'm going to go out of my way, it's going to be for Bumblebee, it's going to be for Aquaman. It's not going to be for like the Spider-Verse movie. I do apologize for anyone, but if Mark does want to come in and sit down with me and tell me about that movie, and maybe even try and sell me and you listening on it, he's more than welcome. I do not shut down ideas or possibilities amongst this atmosphere that I built for Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors accepts all, okay? Because I don't know, and I could be wrong. Will I give myself an opportunity to be proven wrong? Like 100%. Yeah. I mean, again, this is a part of the audio log, like Pete's life version of this show and the life of my contributors. This is why it's important for a lot of people. So, but with that being said, so the plot for the Bumblebee movie kind of just marches on, and for some reason, okay, Travis Knight put out this idea that they were going to take Transformers like back to form and put it in 1984. Making this a period movie is just a weird, bad idea, because we're kind of seeing in Wonder Woman, like 1984, some of the stuff coming out about that. It's like, what are we doing? Like, is the next one going to be in the 90s? Why is it 1984? Because now we have two future versions of Wonder Woman now, like what bookended Wonder Woman and what the Wonder Woman that we saw in Batman vs Superman. I'm sorry, 3, in BVS, and the Wonder Woman in Justice League, and now we're putting Wonder Woman in 1984, and now like we have 3 movies where things are not being mentioned that we're going to see in 1984 that we know are going to be significant events. It makes it confusing. Now, this was the same problem that Fox got into with the X-Men franchise. I do feel Paramount, DreamWorks, Hasbro, okay, Allspark Pictures, that's who's made this. Allspark Pictures is using the X-Men the Fox X-Men First Class path, which is with First Class. They put it in the 60s, and they said, look, we're just going to do another X-Men movie. We want to do it like this, and here's all new people. Perfect. Like, great. Okay, and that movie was great. Okay, but it's also a good movie. And then they took the gimmick into the 80s, or like into the 70s with X-Men Days of Future Past, and you're just like, oh my God. And there's parts of that movie that are a stretch. Okay, because 10 years have passed, or whatever, 8 or 9 years, something like that. And it really breaks by the time you get to X-Men Apocalypse that takes place in the 80s. Because we have like 30 years of X-Men continuity, and we have no X-Men team. The X-Men team is not formed at all. They come together, they do something in First Class, but then they disband. and then they're in shambles. There's no team at all in the present continuity. In the present continuity, there's no X-Men in the 70s and Days of Future Past. And then we hit the 90s, and still there's no X-Men. We have to have a different group now come together, fight Apocalypse. And then at the very end of that movie, we have a hint of a X-Men team, which is like right before the credits roll. It's a problem. Now, what are we doing with this Bumblebee thread? Because it's embedded in Micheal Bay lore. It's embedded in what Micheal Bay built around the franchise. They opened this movie with Bumblebee talking, okay? And now, like, this is another contribution of Micheal Bay that people are ignoring. There's the mute Bumblebee, for whatever reason, is now a official thing. They had a way to get out of it. Bumblebee's talking in the beginning of this movie, and they have a whole scene. On Earth that explains Bumblebee's voice box. Okay, and then like he has like a loss of memory, which is really not how computers work at all. Okay, like I'm just so sorry. They do not. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't make any sense. But I get it. You gotta do something with the story. I'll ignore it. And then like the mute Bumblebee is a thing. It's a thing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So Micheal Bay has permanently changed the lore and the mythology of the beginning of the Transformers franchise, like just as a story element. So this means like all animated series, future movies, everything's going to begin like this moving forward. Now down the road, I see maybe another character other than Bumblebee going through this, but I view a younger, like a younger-esque, like a teenage Transformer bonding with a teenage human for their first car. Okay, and Bumblebee somewhat portrayed as naive, especially in this movie, because he has amnesia. Bumblebee has amnesia in almost the entire movie. Now, along the way, we have the human elements are always a problem. John Cena's in this movie. Everything he does is great. He is part Deadpool in this movie. He addresses things as they're happening, as if he's the audience, and it's like, okay, like we're trusting these guys. They're called Decepticons. Like that's not a red flag for you people. It's great, okay? And this movie combines all these fun elements. It actually combines like the best of E.T., Superman, Man of Steel, of maybe we have to collaborate with these invaders so we can get them off of Earth. Interesting concepts. Now, I'm not really knocking the action. Robot action is robot action. It's great. There's two flashbacks. The movie begins somewhat flashback with the Generation 1, we call them, the original updated versions of the Transformer designs are in this movie. So we have Transformers proper, you might want to call, but we still have Bay formers, and we have Bay tropes, and we have origins, and there's no mention of the Allspark at all in this movie, which is surprising because the Allspark is what drove everything in the first Transformers movie. It's the opening narration for Transformers 1, and it's a incredible narration. It sets it all up. So there's these things that are just completely ignored. The movie does not match up with the previous films. It is a solely different thread, so let it be that. I don't really care. But where I felt a little bit disconnected in this is, again, the human element, the human side. Not great. The girl's angst isn't quite there. The love interest isn't quite there. But they're trying to kind of do Bay-like characters, but toned down. See, the Bay characters work because they're so over the top. It's almost like kabuki theater. These characters are making faces, throwing their arms up in the air, and you know what's happening with no volume on. That's the miracle of the Micheal Bay storytelling for the Transformer movies, not all of his movies, but you know the tone with no sound on. You know what's happening. So, like, would I recommend this movie? It's kind of weird because as an audience member, I didn't know where I stood for a chunk of this movie. I really didn't know how I should be feeling, what I should be anxious for. Now, this movie is geared definitely younger. It's geared more fun. It probably has the best soundtrack I've heard in the movie, and maybe since Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They really spent money on 80s licensed tunes. Does the movie feel like it's in the 80s? No. Okay, so it's a complete failure on that. Period piece movies is becoming harder and harder. The reason for this, there is a reason. Because culture right now is nostalgic and throwback and vintage. So we're constantly surrounded by new and old at the same time, even when you walk down the street. Okay, we do not live in a stampable era, if that makes any sense. And doing throwback movies where they're set in a setting for nostalgic purposes, it doesn't come through because we're already surrounded by so much nostalgia. So it's harder. But at the same time, from a filmmaking standpoint, no, I thought it was as effective as the 90s were in X-Men Apocalypse. Just didn't feel it. Or the 80s. Just didn't feel it. X-Men Apocalypse definitely should have had some more 80s tunes. But these two movies suffer the same exact fate. They both take place in the 80s. Wonder Woman, 1984. You're lined up for the same challenges. And again, I'm interested to see how those are solved, or if they're solved at all. But look, everyone, I want to go. Bumblebee is it's a good Transformers movie. It's a Transformers movie worth watching. Okay, I don't know if it's meant for adults or children or both. I assume both, but I don't think it has enough of the Generation 1 stuff. It doesn't go hard enough with that. No Megatron. Megatron's not in this movie. WTF? Why don't we have Megatron in the Transformers movie? And it is odd that Bumblebee has become the face of the franchise, and this movie just should have been called Optimus Prime, or Prime, like Prime Time. They should have just called this movie Prime Time. Get Deion Sanders to make a song for this movie. But look, check it out. Okay, I need to let this movie sit for a little bit, but I kind of do want to do a follow-up episode where I kind of do the 5 Micheal Bay movies leading into this, because that is I can go on for 30-45 minutes on that alone. But look, everyone, Dream Warriors, thank you so much for joining me. I love you all. I am recommending for you to see Bumblebee because I think it has more good than bad, and it is fun. The human melodrama from the girl perspective is give and take. Do I wish that the girl was like Megan Fox? Yes. Okay, this movie needed a Megan Fox. I'm sorry. Blech. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble just for saying that. But look, I love you. Rock and roll. We have Cinemas coming up with Christmas Chronicles, and then I'm going to do that episode and update everyone on the movies we're going to be doing for Cinemas, and breaking down the flow of the next few Dream Warriors. Because this Sunday too, we have WWE's TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, and there's already matches for that I'm pumped up for. And the WWE stuff trends on Dream Warrior, so we're just going to keep going with it. But with that, I love you, rock and roll, and until next time, dream on.